Okay, welcome. How are we doing today? Matt Ritchie here, coming to you from Encinitas, California, on another amazing Wednesday evening. Happy hump day to you if you're out there listening. And as people start to cruise in here, just wanted to give a little thank you. If you're here listening right now to my voice, then you are in action in your life. You are taking some sort of action towards something that you are seeking. And being in action is probably one of the most important qualities and modalities that we can step into as an entrepreneur, as a human being on a path of growth in general. So congratulations. So in general fashion, I am going to give everyone another minute to get in here, because I know how San Diegans like to be fashionably late. So we're going to give everyone one more minute. If you can hear my voice, let me see if I have the chat box set up. Enable chat box. If you can hear my voice, just go type yes in the chat box. All right, I got people rolling in here. If you can hear my voice, just to make sure everything's good to go ahead and type yes in the chat box. Cool. Well, it is 6:02, and I like to be in integrity and start on time, so we have waited our complimentary 1 minute to make sure everyone got here, and now everyone who's hearing my voice, thank you for being here. So if you're new to NLP, or if you've never heard of NLP before, NLP breaks down into neuro-linguistic programming. And neuro-linguistic programming was founded by two gentlemen in the 70s, Mr. Richard Bandler and John Grinder, who then started to use different modalities to achieve certain states, to replicate certain ways of being, to see how certain speakers, certain presenters really kept crowds engaged. They did a lot of studying, a lot of tests on what worked and what didn't when it came to not only the brain and how it works, but how we interact and how our subconscious mind really drives most of our underlying actions. So, the neuro obviously is your brain function, and the linguistics is merely the language or the communication thereof. And of course, programming is the idea that the subconscious brain is merely a program or a software program for a harder wired system, the brain, the body, everything else. So the neuro-linguistic programming, NLP, is really a shortened, interesting function of neuro-linguistic programming. So my story with NLP is almost 2 years ago now. I studied and trained under a gentleman named Michael Bennett, amazing NLP master practitioner, been doing it for 30 years. And during my 16-day training that I had with him, I trained 16 days with 1 day off in between. I got a lot out of NLP in the personal sense, in the how this is going to work for me, how I can use certain modalities to overcome my limiting beliefs, how I can, basically hypnotize myself, do mantras, do certain patterns, do visualizations that talk and direct straight to my subconscious mind to break up old patterns, to get rid of limiting beliefs, and then instill new patterns and instill new beliefs that I wanted to believe. So my first roundabout with NLP was very, very powerful. Had an amazing teacher. Played with it after that for a little bit, for a couple months, and then after playing with it, I realized that I wanted to put it into a business application and really be able to use it in my coaching business as a part of who I am and how I show up, and use and really get good on the tools and all of the comments that were coming through. I wasn't watching it first. Joe, yes, to answer your thing, I am a master NLP practitioner, yes. So as I started to learn more about how I could use it in business, in my life, just practicing it, going, doing different modalities with friends, having games. A friend of mine, Mr. Ryan Stock, an amazing NLP practitioner, has weekly games at his house called Magigetsu, where we'll take on certain states or certain stage personas and really have to tap into language patterns, tap into anchoring the stage, and really taking on a new persona to be in front of a group of people and really practice our skills as speakers and as presenters. And that's really one of the main reasons I took NLP. At first I had these visions of just being able to really direct a crowd and really connect with people so I could influence them from stage. Everyone wants to have influence over whoever they're speaking with, whoever they're connecting with. So my original intention in NLP was that after going through all of the programs that Mel had, all the way up through my master practitioner, and then after my master practitioner, I took a 2-week course or 10-day course on speaking and specifically NLP speaker training. So the NLP speaker training really prepared me on how to stage anchor, a space, how to really work a crowd, how to build rapport on a big level instead of just one-on-one. And it was tremendously impactful for me to be able to speak in front of people, to speak to groups of more than 1 or 2 people. So NLP as a whole has had a tremendous impact on my life over the last 2 years. And I've worked with a lot of clients that it's helped transform their lives, and I've worked with, worked beside a lot of practitioners that are doing similar things. And probably one of the biggest things that came from NLP for me was state changing. So being able to change my state on demand. Wherever I'm at, whatever I'm feeling right now, if I don't like it, if I'm not wanting to feel that way, I can change it. I can tap into my anchor. I can really bring myself into a space and really create emotion, energy in motion, to take on whatever persona, whatever feeling, whatever archetype that I wanted to embody at that time. So being able to do this on demand, right now, this is something that stage actors, they practice their entire lives, or it's what their main thing is to really get into state. And luckily for me, generally I'm getting into my best self state, so it's something I'm practicing over and over and getting better and better, as opposed to an actor who may take on a role for a month or 6 months or a year and then change to another one. So this is something that the more you practice, the more you feel comfortable with it, the more it's you, the more you're just peeling away these layers that we've built up to hide the real you, the real us. So NLP really helped me in that sense, as far as owning my personal power, really owning my creator status, and giving me the tools I needed to break through the limiting beliefs of, I'm not an actor, I can't speak in front of people, or whatever limiting beliefs I had before I started studying NLP. So NLP is like this huge topic, right? Neurolinguistic programming has all these different sections. I've been studying it for the last 2 years. I've been implementing it as I go. I still know, minor parts of it compared to some of the people who've been studying their entire lives, or people who are doing it in different modalities. I focus on 3 areas, and I'm going to share those 3 areas with you tonight. So before we get started here, let me just check in the chat, make sure everything is good. Okay, everyone can hear me. If you can't hear me for any reason, type something into the chat box so we know we can get you guys connected. So my 3 basic reasons, my principles for using NLP are: 1, and just to start off, my bad, I do this a lot because I get excited and I like to get into the content. Matt Ritchie, lifestyle architect, lover of life, entrepreneur, coach, mentor, world traveler, and excited to be here with you. So if you're not familiar with me, yeah, I've been doing coaching and mentoring pretty much my entire life, but I've been getting paid for it for the last 2+ years, and I've really been expanding what was possible within the realm of traditional coaching and traditional life coaching, and really helping people build lives for themselves from a solid foundation using health, wealth, relationships, and self-mastery or spiritual alignment with self. And when taking on these 4 areas, I find that we can be unstoppable when we strengthen all 4 of these pillars. So NLP is one of those pillars for me, or one of those things that builds up all of my pillars. It really helps me connect with myself better. It helps me in my relationships with my connection. It helps with my mindset for my health goals. And it definitely helps me with my mindset, and it helps me in my business creating wealth. So NLP is one of those things that touches all areas of my life, and I thought it was an extremely important topic that I wanted to bring up to you guys. So with that out of the way, let's jump into the 3 principles. So the 3 reasons, I should say, rather than principles, 3 reasons. The first reason that I use NLP is modeling. And if you're not familiar with modeling, it's basically just watching someone do something, reverse engineering the steps in which they take to accomplish it, and then recreating them for myself or for yourself. So say you're watching a professional bowler bowl, or any sport really. Anyone who plays sports, you model the people who are doing amazing things. As a motocross star, I modeled people who were better than me, modeled people who were doing things that were making them faster than I was. So really modeling something, being able to break it down as an engineer, break it into sections, into culpable pieces, so you can put them together and make one big masterpiece. Modeling is really one of those things that, give you a quick story. During my training, we did board breaking, and I'd never done any kind of martial art. I'd never broken a board before, but we watched our instructor do it, broke this board like it was nothing. And I'm like, it kind of gave me the belief of, well, if he can do it, then I can do it. So I'm just going to model what he does. So I took everything from his stance, to the distance, to how fast he hit the board, to the sayings that he said to himself beforehand. He had a saying that he said, I am stronger than this board breaks easily, whatever, and then, boom, breaking through the board. And modeling that whole thing back, first time broken, I was amazed. I didn't really think that I could break a board. So anytime that we feel there's something out of our comfort zone or something we can't do, we just need to model it. You should find someone who's doing it, and then reverse engineer the steps that it takes to do it successfully, and do it, and then practice those steps and break it down and practice whatever you need to practice to be better at whatever it is you're trying to do. So modeling is one of the 3 main things that I do with NLP. The second thing, and I touched upon it briefly before, is state changes. So being able to go from low energy, maybe upset, maybe mad, maybe sad, maybe in whatever mood I'm in that I don't want to be in, going from there, elevated to my best self, totally on top of my game, fully connected with my inner spirit, and ready to take action. So tonight I want to do a really, really quick state change exercise. So if you're not sitting down, I want you to go ahead and sit down. Or I'm sorry, wow, I'm used to putting people through some sort of visualization. Don't sit down, stand up. So if you're not standing up, stand up, and we're going to do a really quick state change exercise. You ready? So I want you to think of a time, and let me just preface this, that you can use whatever state you want to do. So if I want to be more confident going into a job interview, or more confident going into a business meeting, whatever that is, think confidence. If I want to be sexier going on that date, or whatever you want to feel, take that and we're going to amplify that. So whatever you want to feel, I want you to come back to a time when you were really in that zone. You are extremely confident. You are extremely sexy. Whatever it is that you want to be, take that on. Take that persona on right now. And I want you to go back. You can close your eyes if you need to. Visualize being there. What did you hear? What did you see? What did someone say to you? What did you say to them? How are you feeling? I want you to channel that into this feeling. I want you to just get all this energy building up inside of you. And before you do that, though, before we get too into that, before you build the emotion too big, I want you to create a physical anchor spot on your body that you can anchor this feeling to. So it could be as easy as touching your fingers together. It could be touching your hands together. It could be you touch your neck. It could be anywhere. You could fire it off wherever. My suggestion, if it's something that you want to do before you go on a thing, make it maybe more quiet and more reserved. But if something, if you're a very kinesthetic person such as myself, get up and do a movement, do whatever you need to do, fire it off. For this one, I'm gonna do this anchor that we have. It's like a ninja one when you go pow pow. So it has an auditory, a kinesthetic, and the visual tied into it. So pick your state, pick your movement, and pick a phrase or a word that you want to tie to that. So for me, I'm going to pick confidence. My movement is going to be like a ninja 1-2 punch, and the words are going to be pow pow. So whatever those three things are for you, get them in. And I want you to close your eyes, start visualizing that state, that time you were extremely confident, that time I was really confident. I'm standing on top of a podium. They're handing me the first place trophy prize, and it's just about I'm about to ready to receive it. I can just feel the energy getting to my body, and it's ramping up 10 times farther, as fast, as high as you can go, and all of a sudden, pow pow! And it just fires it off, and pow pow! Just fires off that peak state of feeling confident. Did you feel it? Did you get into your state? Practice that a couple times after we get off the call here tonight. Pull in your state, ramp it up, pull in all the kinesthetics, pull in all the auditory, all the visuals, and fire off your anchor. And you can re-anchor that same movement, that same thought, and you can stack feelings. You can stack confidence, you can stack happiness. As long as they're congruent feelings, you can stack them and they'll blend together. So I don't want to take too much time doing that tonight because we have a very limited time on here. So I want to keep going. But the state change process is extremely, extremely, extremely powerful. So modeling, state changes, and maybe the most important one, and I've been saying that a lot about all this stuff, but this stuff's really powerful for me, is communication. Tapping into how we communicate. I had no idea. So our communication is far more complex than we think. Not only do we have different languages, English, Spanish, German, French, all these different languages, we have different communication styles and different languages of speaking. So when I say different languages of speaking, it's more in the sense of, do I say things from an auditory perspective? Do I say things from an auditory, visual perspective, auditory expensive, or am I more kinesthetic? So for example, I'm very kinesthetic, so I may say something like, I can get a handle on that, or that feels good, whatever that is. I speak in more kinesthetic terms. And that's not to say that someone who's auditory can't understand me. That's just to say maybe they don't connect as deeply with this statement or whatever the words are that I say because they hear better, or they hear it better as opposed to feel it. So listen next time you're talking to somebody. What kind of words are they using? So if they're visual, if they're a very visual person, they'll use visual words like, that was crystal clear, I could see that, or imagine this, that looks good, words like that. If they're very auditory, then they're going to say words like, that rings a bell, tune into this, that sounds good. And then, of course, if you're kinesthetic, things like, you're going to catch on, I can handle that. Let's tap into it. It feels good, that kind of stuff. So language patterns is just a small part of communication, because the words we say make up less than 10% of the communication barrier. 50% or more. Making eye contact, they're probably pretty uncomfortable, probably not enjoying whatever it is they're seeing, or their body's rejecting whatever is being said. So, you sit somebody's like, relaxed, open, making eye contact, they're probably pretty comfortable, probably pretty connected. So the nonverbal is huge. And of course, knowing somebody's nonverbal cues, or knowing somebody in general, knowing them more personally, knowing how they are and how they act, it will give you a lot of insight into that person in particular. But even the people you don't know, even the people that you just meet, you can get a read on them. And you do that in so many ways. So communication, I want to get through this before, it's already 6:21. Communication, as I communicate the sound of the train as it flies through my living room here tonight. My door's open, so it's probably even louder. Okay, good. That was a short one. So communication, where'd I get it to? Yeah, so the 50% of nonverbal communication, you're looking for things such as, are their eyes, are they making eye contact? Is their skin tight? Is their skin flushed? Are they, creating color in their skin? Just small little things that you'll get to notice about people, especially once you or you see people the second time, the third time, the fourth time, and then once you get to know them on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, you can really read people and kind of just know how they are. And so for me, learning NLP seemed hard. It seemed like, I wasn't getting this, this is hard, yada yada, I had all these stories around it. And then I realized it was just seeping into my subconscious. That everything that I was learning and everything that I was doing, and was just seeping into my subconscious, and I was doing it subconsciously. So there were certain patterns that I changed that I was just automatically doing subconsciously. There is certain techniques. If you watch my How to Be More Magnetic webinar, hangout a couple weeks ago, about a month ago now, it talks about mirroring people. So if you're holding your drink in your right hand and your hips on your left, maybe I come up and do something similar where we just kind of feels, your subconscious is like, oh, that's a mirror of me. I feel more comfortable. It's someone I trust, someone who's just like me. So the main thing about communication is that it gives us, we're able to read where people are at, and as a coach and as a mentor and as a person who loves to connect deeply with people, and that can be anyone, I love meeting people where they're already at. So if I connect with somebody, and I'm a pretty high energy person, so if I connect with somebody and they're at I'm buzzing at this level and they're down here somewhere not in a good mood, I can kind of drop in and make my body, make my words, make my tonality, and that was the other part we didn't account for. You have like the 10% is verbal, you have the 50-ish% that's nonverbal, and you have like 35% that is tonality and pitch. So, if I say the word "what," I can make different meaning. If I say "what," it's like exclamation point. I'm like "what?" Or I say "what." There's all these different tonalities that you can put on words. So 50% is movement and everything else. 35% is your tonality, and then 10% or less is the actual words we say. So it is important to know what you're saying and have the right words, but it's way more important, especially on video or especially in front of people, to account for physical action and the tonality in which you're saying it. So get the words down, great. Get your tonality down, get your accent, and where you're hitting certain things, where you're leaving pauses, because pauses can be very powerful. Just different things you can play with your language patterns that help induce certain states, or help people feel more comfortable, or help people get more excited, or whatever the action you really want people to do, you can kind of lead them along in that experience. So once you drop in, connect with that person, then they're automatically going to feel connected to you, but they're going to feel like trusting you. They're going to trust you because they're going to be like, hey, this person is at my level, they're connecting with me, they're a nice person, they're an open person, they can feel my love, they can feel my connection, and then we go from there. Anything's possible. Then I can raise up my energy, and all of a sudden they start to come with me, and then they're feeling better, and we're talking about other things, and go from there. So I really enjoy the communication part, communication skills that I've learned from NLP. And we're almost out of time already. It's already 6:25, but I wanted to go over some really quick eye patterns, because this is something I loved to play with when I first did it. Now I just kind of do it subconsciously and don't think about it too much. But when you're looking at somebody, the police and FBI and CIA, they've been using this as a lie detector for years. But if you're looking directly at somebody, they're up and left. So if I look up and left, that usually means I'm pulling in a memory. That's my memory bank. So 75% of people are going to have this same orientation. So up and left, you're accessing your visual memories, so you're pulling down something that's already happened. If I look up and right, however, I'm creating something. I'm looking up like, oh, well, what if I colored that dog blue and gave him a purple collar? Okay, perfect. So up and left is remembered, up and right is created. So the police, of course, nothing is cement, but you're looking at people, you're reading their body language, and then you ask them a question, and they look up and right, could possibly know they're creating something new, as opposed to if they look up and left, oh, they're pulling in a memory, and it feels a certain way. So up and left is remembered, up and right is constructed. Down and left is your internal dialogue. So do you ever see people who are just walking around and they go like, looking down, saying things under their breath, man, you're so stupid, whatever, all this negative self-talk, right? Or self-talk in general. It doesn't have to be bad. But you'll see people look down and left, and they're having that kind of conversation with themselves. It's that internal dialogue. And then when you look down and right, you're accessing your feelings. It's your kinesthetic look. So you're looking out and like, oh, man, I just feel awful for that family, And you don't even know it, but you're pulling down from the sound of the train, you're pulling that down into your energy and pulling it out of your feelings. So these are just some really quick pointers on if you're looking at somebody, just to check out their eyes and see where they're going and see how they're connecting with you and how they're moving. And of course, nothing like say is 100%, but this is a good gauge. It'll usually be right about 75% of the time for most people. So it is 6:28. I only got through about 2/3 of the stuff I want to talk about, but I wanted to open up for any questions that anyone has. So earlier, yes, Joe, I am NLP Master Practitioner Certified. Thanks for that. Good to have you here, Bella. I hope you're having a better time with the loading. Sounds like you're having a connection problem on your end. Anyone else out there that has any questions? Steven, Andrew, Chris, Jennifer, Alex, Armando, Bella, Jimmy, Rory, Joe. I know you're all here. You and more. Well, I had a question from someone coming earlier, so I'll start there. So the question I had earlier, and this is one that some people will ask me, and they'll be like, well, isn't NLP really just deceiving people? And I get that question a lot. And I checked in with myself a long time ago when I started doing NLP, and when I heard that before I even took the training. And for me, it's about integrity and it's about results. As long as things are within integrity and I'm getting the results that I want to get, then I'm okay with whatever modality we need to use to get there. So, when I'm using mirroring or I'm using certain communication skills, even subconsciously I don't even know I'm using them, I don't feel like I'm deceiving that person into liking me more, or I don't feel like that I'm being deceptive in any way. I'm merely positioning myself to be more likable and to be more accepted by that person. And then once I make that connection, make that communication, then I'm able to start a real conversation or start a real relationship with that person. As opposed to, like, say, if I'm at a certain energy and they're somewhere else, then we maybe not be able to connect and we just want to have that conversation. And me personally, I love people. I love connecting with people. I love meeting new people. I love hearing people's stories. And I love learning from people. And I find that the deeper I can connect with people, the more they trust me, the deeper the stories they tell me, the more intimate the stories they tell me, and the more I learn, not only about them, but about the world, about myself, and about us as human beings. And even to take it a step further, for me, connecting and using certain NLP modalities is not deceptive at all, because it's getting people where they want to go. We're already being programmed. This isn't some brainwashing. We're already programmed by TV, by your parents, by all your experiences, by all your thoughts, by whatever it is that you've experienced up until this point. You're programmed, whether you like it or not. So this just gives us a blueprint and a peek into our subconscious mind, and it gives us tools to rewrite the code and wash away one limiting belief and instill another, or instill a new belief. And for me, I think that's fascinating, and for me, I think that's amazing. And anytime anyone ever brings up the question about feeling incongruent or being deceptive, or they've heard a story around this or that, something about that, I just say, you know what? Some people may have been deceived by people who use NLP, but it's as similar as, we'll say, guns. Guns can be used to have fun and shoot a target, to protect your home, or they can be used to go out and kill people and do harm. Same as NLP, or same as anything. With great power comes great responsibility. So in learning more about NLP, I hope that you take great responsibility with this power that I've showed you the light to, because there's a lot of power here. There's a lot of communication, connection skills that can persuade people, that no doubt when used in a certain way can make people do things that maybe they wouldn't normally do. And I wouldn't say what they normally do, but maybe they aren't ready to do. Because like hypnosis or anything, you can never be tricked into doing something you don't want to do. You just may not be in the state to do it at that point, or really ready to take on something that, do you ever buy something and you have this buyer's remorse and you're like, oh, But when when it's aligned, and when it feels good, and when the person's coming from a heart-centered, we'll call it a safe space, that people have your best intentions in mind, and I hope that myself and any other NLP practitioner you work with has that same integrity, because that's important for me teaching NLP. It's important for me using NLP moving forward, that people feel safe, people feel aligned, and people don't feel like they're getting brainwashed or deceived. So if you guys don't have any other questions, yeah, with integrity to what I'm doing. Last couple of weeks, I've been offering. I've had people opt in for the $1 Best Life Roadmap 30-day trial. If you want to check it out, I just put it in the side thing right there. Click on it, test it out for 30 days. $1 commitment. If you're not happy, I'd love to hear from you first and foremost. But if you're not happy, I'll gladly give you your dollar back. After 1 month of use, it's $19.99 a month. Just to be upfront about that, it's going to be a program I was used to selling for $197. I've sold it to a ton of people for $197. I'm giving people access to it for $19.99 a month, because I know that some people can't make a $197 commitment up front, that they cannot do that right up front. And I'm okay with somebody using it for 4 or 5 months for $60 or $80 as opposed to $197. If they use it, get value out of it, it's a win-win for both of us. So check out the offer right here. It's the Best Life Roadmap. It really talks into the 4 pillars that I spoke into earlier: the health, wealth, relationships, and self, and gives you a solid foundation to start building either a new reality or a new way of being for you, or just to sturdify or make sturdy the current reality that you're in. If you're an entrepreneur or whatever, it can help take you to that next level and give you that confidence. And it'll take you through a lot of NLP modalities, which I didn't even get close to touching upon. things like, we obviously did state anchoring and modeling and communication skills, but I never touched upon timeline integration, visualizations, these language patterns, installing strategies. We do a values discovery. All of these things, get rid of your limiting beliefs. All this and more is within the program. So click on it, check it out. $1. If you don't like it, let me know. We'll talk about it. And yeah, have an amazing week. Have a fun rest of your hump day. I'm actually going to and I'll talk to you guys soon. Cheers.